Ford is known for its wide range of vehicles, from small cars and SUVs to trucks and commercial vehicles. Each has its own appeal, but not all are created equal. Some of Ford's cars have been true icons, while others have been, well, let's just say there's a reason some people think Ford stands for fix or repair daily. And that's because some of the cars they've made have been truly awful. In this video, we'll go through some of the best and worst cars Ford has ever built. So let's dive in. The Ford Fiesta ST200 is definitely one of the best. When it comes to pocket rockets, the Fiesta ST200 is definitely one of the best. Powered by a 200 horsepower turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-pot, it sends all of its power to the front wheels via a 6-speed manual gearbox. It's truly catered towards those who love zooming down tight country roads. Despite this, there have only been 400 of these little hot hatches ever built, and every single one has finished in the same color Ford calls Storm Gray. If you want one, you'll have to be prepared to pay a pretty penny for it. The 1982 Ford Mustang GT is another powerhouse. This beautiful car with the V8 engine is what started it all. It was the car that made V8 engines popular in Mustangs again, and is one of the most iconic cars in American history. If you want one now, you'll have to be prepared to pay a lot of money for it, as they're highly sought after collector's items. Still, this car is a true icon, and definitely one of the best Ford cars ever built. The Ford F-150 SVT Raptor is a pickup with an attitude. That's right, this truck actually made it onto our list of the best cars Ford has ever built, and there's a good reason for that. It's the first ever pickup truck with a V8 engine, which really set it apart from its competition. Though the latest Ford F-150 Raptor is powered by a V6 EcoBoost engine, there are rumors that another V8 powered version is in the works. If this is the case, the vehicle is definitely one to watch out for. The Ford GT is one of the best and most expensive Fords on the market. Oh boy, this car is upwards of $500,000 and definitely not for everyone. It's a beautiful vehicle, but if you want one, you'd better start saving now. The GT is powered by a 3.5-liter V6 EcoBoost engine that produces an incredible 647 horsepower. It can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds flat, making it one of the fastest cars on the market. If you're looking for an exclusive and expensive supercar, this is definitely the one for you. One surprising fact about the Ford GT is that its 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine is a variant of the engine used in the Ford F-150 pickup. Of course, the two engines have been modified to power these two very different vehicles, and the systems that support the engines are also very different. Still, this is a fascinating vehicle with an incredible design and fantastic system. The 1955 Ford Thunderbird is a true classic. This two-seater came out 2 years after the Chevrolet Corvette and aimed to compete with it in the sports car market. However, in 1958, the Thunderbird's configuration was changed to a four-seater, and Ford began to market it less as a sports car. This made the original 1955 two-seater model rare and sought after. If you want one in mint condition today, you'll have to be prepared to pay between $20,000 and $60,000, but it might be worth it. This car is undoubtedly one of the best Ford cars ever built. Next, let's talk about racing and the Ford GT40. The Ford GT40 is famously known as the best Ford race car of all time. It was built specifically to beat Ferrari at Le Mans, and it did just that, winning 4 straight 24-hour Le Mans races from 1966 to 1969. The GT40 was a partnership between the European and American branches of Ford, and it was a perfect blend of the best technologies from each side. Its V8 engine was powerful and fast, and its mid-engine layout allowed it to speed through turns effortlessly. One of the best Fords ever created has to be the Tin Lizzie. The Tin Lizzie is the nickname for the Ford Model T, which was first produced in 1908. It's one of the most significant cars in history because it was the first car to be affordable for large numbers of people. This made cars available to the average person, not just the very wealthy. The Model T was available in a variety of colors, but most were black because that was the color that showed up best in photographs. Still, this car was a true icon and one of the best cars Ford has ever produced. Next up is the 2017 Ford Focus RS. This sweet ride is the latest in a long line of great Focus RS models. It's a true pocket rocket, and its 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine produces an impressive 350 horsepower. It also has a unique drift mode that allows you to have some serious fun with this vehicle. If you're looking for a great hot hatch, the Focus RS is definitely one to consider. This is probably one of the best rides Ford has ever put out. The Crown Victoria is another incredible Ford car. This car was produced from 1992 to 2011 and was one of the most popular police cars in America. It's known for its comfortable ride and its large interior, which made it perfect for long drives. The Crown Victoria is also known for its durability. and many of these cars have gone over 200,000 miles without any major issues. The car is without question one of the most durable and reliable cars Ford has ever built. Next up, we have the 1985 RS200. The RS200 was a mid-engined sports car that was produced from 1984 to 1986. It was designed to compete in Group B rallying, but it never actually competed due to the cancellation of the Group B category. Still, this car is significant because it was the first car to use a turbocharged engine in rallying, making it a true pioneer in the sport. Finally, we can't miss out on the Ford Eleanor, easily one of the best cars on the planet. This sweet ride was used in the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, and it's become one of the most iconic cars of all time. It's based on a 1967 Shelby GT500, and it has a huge V8 engine that produces an incredible 740 horsepower. If you want one of these cars, you'll have to be prepared to pay a pretty penny for it. They're not cheap. Still, this is a truly fantastic car, and definitely one of the best Ford cars has ever built. It has the looks, the power, and the attitude to match. Now that we've gone through some of the best cars Ford has ever built, it's time to talk about some of the worst. The 1990 Probe definitely hits the spot for one of the worst. The Probe was designed to be a replacement for the Ford Mustang, but it just didn't have the same appeal. It was front-wheel drive, and it just didn't handle like a true sports car. The Probe was produced from 1988 to 1997, but it's largely been forgotten today. The 2005 Thunderbird is another one of the worst cars Ford has ever built. The car was a complete redesign of the original Thunderbird, and it was just a disaster. It was overpriced, it was underpowered, and it just didn't live up to the legacy of the original. This car was produced from 2002 to 2005, but it's best forgotten today. The 1988 Ford Festiva is yet another one of the worst cars Ford has ever built. When you think about it, it's pretty surprising that a car company as big as Ford would make such a small car. The Festiva was Mazda's design, but it was just too small for most people. This is a car that's quite literally best left in the past. Let's not go back to the future with this one, because the Ford Festiva is without question one of the worst cars Ford has ever built. The Pinto is another horrible car. The Pinto was first produced in 1971, and it was an absolute disaster. The main issue with the Pinto was that it had a design flaw that caused the gas tank to explode in a rear-end collision. This led to a recall of 1.5 million Pintos in 1978, and the car was eventually discontinued in 1980. The 1975 Mustang II was based on the Ford Pinto. A bad idea. Yeah, so imagine thinking to yourself that you're going to base a car on the Pinto. That's exactly what Ford did with the Mustang II, and it was a terrible idea. This car was just awful, and it's widely considered to be one of the worst cars ever made. It was produced from 1974 to 1978, but thankfully, it's been long forgotten. Though you can still pick one or two of these up today, it's best to just leave them in the past. When talking about horrible Fords, let's not forget the 1978 Fiesta. The 1978 Fiesta was just a terrible car, and it's widely considered to be one of the worst cars ever made. It was slow, it was underpowered, and it just didn't live up to the legacy of the original. With the appearance of rust after just a few years, it's no wonder this car was quickly forgotten. Fiesta's motor was less than 100 cubic inches, and it couldn't compete with the competition. The Ford Edsel is another really bad car. This car made the mistake of trying to appeal to everybody, and not just one demographic. This made it a car without a purpose, and it quickly flopped. The Edsel had 18 different variations, and Ford spent $250 million on the project. In the end, it cost them $350 million, making it one of the biggest flops in automotive history. The 1995 Ford Explorer takes one of the top worst spots for a reason. This vehicle was one of the most popular SUVs on the market. It was large, it was comfortable, and it had a lot of space. However, it also had a serious design flaw that caused the tires to explode in certain conditions. This led to a recall of over 14 million Explorers, making it one of the largest recalls in automotive history. Finally, let's talk about the 1984 Tempo. This car was a replacement for the Ford Fairmont, and it was just a disaster. It was slow, it was underpowered, and it just didn't live up to the legacy of the original. When it comes to cars that Ford really wants its fans to forget, this is at the top of the list. Despite this, the Ford Tempo still managed to sell over 3 million units, making it one of the most popular cars in America at the time. That's it for this video though.